Mistakes have been made. Mistakes have been made, ladies and gentlemen. I made a critical error in my creative decisions. Sanity, issue number 1, available on SwaghoHouseComics.com. When I was writing this comic book, doing the character design, I did not give my protagonist a yellow costume. Had I done so, I probably could have sold 1 million copies by now. Because elsewhere in the comic book space, there are comic books flying based on yellow costumes. Because just yesterday, we got the reveal of Hugh Jackman wearing that sweet, sweet yellow and blue comic book accurate Wolverine costume. And that single photo has injected more life into the comic book market than the entirety of this year's Phase 4 and Phase 5 Marvel projects. And so in this video, I want to be the 542nd person in your life to share this photo with you, then talk a little bit about, the movement we've been seeing in the comic book market. And then ultimately later on, talk a little bit about, what I've been seeing with the comic book indexes, especially in the video that I put out yesterday, and talk about this idea of character popularity and how that is really having a big effect in the current bear market of comic books. But before I get into it, if you guys could drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, help support the channel doing those things, I appreciate. But let's get into this video here today. Now, of course, here is the infamous photo that I'm sure you guys have not yet seen. I mean, it was only in literally every corner of the internet that you could possibly look. I swear my entire Instagram feed was just this photo on repeat. But to summarize, we got a reveal from Ryan Reynolds' social media of Hugh Jackman wearing his yellow and blue costume. Now, actually, since this photo has come out, there have actually been other behind the scenes set photos that have leaked. We see the two characters fighting. We see some other shots with Hugh Jackman wearing sunglasses. I'm curious to see if Hugh Jackman's actually going to wear the mask. I sort of have this sinking feeling that he's not actually going to wear the mask, which would be disappointing in my opinion. But, we are kind of in this world where actors want to show their faces and not really wear the superhero mask. But hopefully he wears it at some point. Maybe that'll be a running gag within the Deadpool universe. But this one image alone set the market on fire. Now, relatively speaking, set the market on fire. But considering that we are halfway through the season of Secret Invasion and we've seen basically zero movement, zero correlation of comic books selling in line to that show because of the lack of hype that is around it, we actually did see another increase in movement in the market for Wolverine 88, which of course is the first meeting of Wolverine and Deadpool. Now, this book right here has had many, many iterations of getting hot in the market. When we got the initial reveal, when we got the initial tease for, these two actors going to be in this movie together, this book moved a lot. But, just this one image alone was actually enough to create a significant amount of sales once again. And we even got a 9/8 sale at the $450 range, which is a pretty good number for what this book has been selling for, in recent time. We see the 9/8 here, the deluxe edition we're going to focus on specifically. You'd have to go back all the way to, beginning of April, maybe March time to see another number at the $450 level. This is a book that has been, going all the way back down to the $300 price point. There is one anomaly number here at $720. I have a feeling that maybe that wasn't a deluxe edition that got mixed in. Maybe it was a newsstand or some other type of copy. But suffice to say, after this book has had a decent correction over the last couple of months, we actually saw what I would effectively call a FOMO sale right here, where somebody was like, I don't care what the price is, I want the book now, and I'm just gonna buy it now on eBay because that image has me hype and I can't wait another year until actually seeing this movie. Now, there's other books in the market that have actually been moving, and I'm sure this is gonna be a book that shows up on a lot of hot lists, this coming week. But basically we have Marvel Comics Presents number 95, and what is the significance of this? Well, this would actually be the origin of Wolverine's yellow and blue costume. Yes, people. Yes, that is correct. There are people out there that are flocking to Marvel Comics Presents number 95 in order to get their hands on the origin of this costume. Once again, demonstrating how excited people are just for that one image that came out. Now, let me preface here, this is not necessarily a book that is, as you can see, it's not necessarily selling for, record numbers here. It's not like it's going up to the $20 range, but we're seeing a high volume of sales for this book overall, which again, I think ties back to the point of what I kind of wanted to really discuss in this video, which is this idea of, the hype that is around characters like Deadpool and Wolverine versus the lack of hype that we've been seeing for characters, that apply to the Secret Invasion show, or maybe characters that are going to be, coming up, like the Marvels and Agatha House of Harkness and some of these other Disney Plus properties. And one of the things I want to point back to is the comic book index that I put out yesterday. Now, I mostly talk, in the macro about that stuff. I talk about the lines, charts, and graphs and show you guys the general numbers. But what you don't actually see and what I don't spend time talking about is sort of the individual numbers on a book-by-book basis. And this is something that I just kind of take in through osmosis as I'm putting the index together. And one of the things that I do see is that you see the biggest increase in value for books that have historical demand versus books that got hot, due to recent MCU projects. For instance, when I take Silver Age books that come from the ASM run, those books tend to hold up a lot better than that of, say, of a Silver Age book like Submariner #1 that got really hot due to Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And it's these historical books and the characters that have this sort of seasoned popularity that the comic book market continues to flock to. Now, back in the beginning of 2023, I put out my prediction video for 2023. And I talked about how this year was going to be a risk-off environment. And what I mean by that when I say risk-off is that the money that is in the comic book market is going to go to those books that have the most historical precedent in order that keep their value, essentially. So whether those be, golden age keys that everybody has collected for years and years and years, whether that be, Amazing Spider-Man books, basically that of Marvel Silver Age, whether that be Batman keys or other popular characters that people historically collect, like Fantastic Four and X-Men. And actually, one of the charts I want to show you guys, which is one that I'm thinking about, maybe in the next index video, I can talk about this principle. This is a chart that I haven't shown in my index videos for quite some time, but something that I probably do want to continue updating. These lines right here are actually based on series. So the blue line is actually ASM, the yellow line is Fantastic Four, the red line is Avengers, and then the green line is X-Men. And you can actually see that the bulk of money within the Silver Age books that I've been actually polling mostly equate to that of ASM books. You can see that there's actually a pretty large spread with how collectors put their money into comic books, mostly focusing on ASM keys. And I have a supposition that, in this current environment, in this current market, I have a feeling that most people are putting their money back into ASM keys. If you have a certain amount of money that you can spend on comic books and you can only dedicate, a certain amount of resources, you're going to put that money into the books that, typically speaking, are the most popular characters, the most blue chip, the most iconic, like Spider-Man, and like in the instance of this image, like characters like Wolverine. I think one of the reasons why this photo has had so much hype around it and why people are so excited about Deadpool 3 is that these are characters that, historically speaking, are just, popular amongst comic book collectors, comic book fans, comic book movie watchers. I mean, Wolverine has been an iconic character for, decades at this point. And so I think that that's something always important to think about, when we're investing in comics or speccing on comics and stuff, is that, books that have historical precedent are always going to be the books that are going to be, the most popular, going to be the most in demand, and likely going to have, the most secure floor values. Anytime you really dig into the weeds with, a Secret Invasion spec, or, a scroll spec of a new character, or we got to pick up the Gaia book, or we got to pick up the Abigail Brand book. There's always that potential, depending on what you buy it for that book to, make a good return. But at the same time, too, you have to ask yourself the question. This is the Whitman paradox, the whiteboard video that I've made previously here on the channel. It's like, who in theory are going to be the holders that are going to support this floor value? Who in theory are going to be the people that jump onto the FOMO and the hype of these characters if there's not this organic demand for them to actually lift the value of their books, which is why I think a lot of people move their money to books like Spider-Man or books, related to Wolverine, because of the fact that, there's just a historical precedent for this character being popular. And you can see it right here manifesting within just the hype surrounding this image. I think that Deadpool 3 is going to be probably the movie that, might turn the ship for the MCU, at least in terms of like the PR. I have a feeling that, Ryan Reynolds is already winning the PR battle. Most people are going to go into this movie just wanting to like it. And I have a feeling that, when we get to that point, that'll be where we start to see a lot of the blue chip main character type of comics start to turn the tide in some of their values. But that's really all I have for this video. You know, some interesting movement in the market for that one image alone. Wolverine 88 once again selling out there. Marvel Comics Presents number 95 selling out there just because of the suit factor. So very interesting to see that. And again, I think the main takeaway I have with this, you know, especially coming off of doing the index video, is that you can see that the books that have the historical demand, that relate to characters that have the historical demand, are really the ones that are always going to be, you know, the most sought after in the market, always going to be the ones that are the most safest specs, if there's such a thing as safe spec, because of the fact that, you know, those just have the biggest demand and they are the most popular characters. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. What did you guys think of that image? Are you guys excited about Deadpool number 3? Have you guys even been watching Secret Invasion? Did you even remember that we are halfway through the Secret Invasion show? Very, very interesting. Funny that this one image has more buzz than the entire first half of that Disney Plus show. Anyways, that's all I got for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next video.